UAV Nesra is a quadcopter. That was the one which was used, by the way, at that time, the movie Three Idiots. We took up development with 4 students from IIT Bombay.
Yeah.
And they came up to me and said that we have made an UAV.
Hello and welcome back to RoboFrames, the robotics podcast presented to you by NamTalks. Robotics ecosystem do need players from all sectors: academia, industry, government sector, and even the budding startups. Today we are exploring in this direction, and we have a very special guest who has worked in 2 different extremes. He has built robots for national security and also running a startup in underwater robotics. Welcome with me, Dr. Alok Mukherjee. Welcome, sir.
Okay.
Dr. Mukherjee is former scientist G in DRDO Pune. He has his own startup, I4 Marines, in underwater robotics and also president of the Robotics Society India. Thank you, sir, for joining us today. And we would like to certainly start with this dual role, the twin role you had. The legacy of working in projects, national projects like Daksh, which you had launched 15 years back. I'm sure that these projects do give us enough of satisfaction and proud. And sometimes they are enough. But what motivates you and push you to actually get going into a startup, this twin role?
Well, in my career, I was working with DRDO. And the requirement came from the Army or Navy or Air Force to develop a certain robot. In fact, Daksh was developed because there was a need at that time to develop a robot which can handle and defuse improvised explosive devices or IEDs. That was the need of the hour. While working in the government sector or for security application, you have a need which comes up and you have to plug that need, or you have to develop a system which can counter that problem that you have. So we had developed Daksh in that direction. Today, after having retired from DRDO and now that I have made my startup, I am working towards more social causes, making robots for social causes.
Okay.
So the drive is the same. Those were also autonomous or remote control system. Today also they are the similar system, but the domain changes.
And why in that domain underwater robotics, to be specific?
Yeah, so that's a good point. Because after coming out working for defense systems, when I put my thinking cap on and I thought that what we should do, then I saw that what occurred to me that water is the most important resource and is going to become more and more scarce. So we have to build systems to look after water. So by looking after, I mean our dams, our reservoirs, our rivers, our coastline, everywhere there's water. So what kind of systems or robotic systems you require to look after, meaning that to monitor the water quality, the amount of water in a reservoir, that is bathymetry. So these are some of the applications which are the need of the hour and for which we are developing robots today.
Now, certainly everybody is talking about, even prior to robotics, we do have all the challenges associated to water clarity and, as you said, for cleaning, rivers, deep sea, everywhere. Now, do you think this new era of robotics and their utilization can certainly make a big difference? Like how exactly you feel the autonomous systems can be useful in cleaning such large sets?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, previously this kind of work is to be done manually. That is, a person is to sit on a boat and keep on scanning the dam. For example, if I take an example of a reservoir monitoring, then the dam has to be scanned manually with a person sitting on a boat, going around in the hot sun and working throughout the day and gathering data. And sometimes if it's a big dam, this work goes on for 4 or 5 days. So now with his autonomous system, he can sit in the shade or under a tree. He or she can sit there, and whereas the robot or the boat does the work for itself. That's one area where robots will help. Second such situation is where you want to monitor the structural health of a dam or a wall, the dam wall, for example. So previously, again, it used to be done by divers. Divers are inherently, it's a dangerous job, there is a limit in time for which a driver can operate in a day. So by using robot, these limitations go away. So you can do the work better, faster, and more efficiently.
I understand from the efficiency perspective, but can we mention any specific role you feel which is possible now and which was not able to take up earlier?
If you see today, we can reach with a robot where possibly the humans could not reach yesterday. I mean, there are things like deep sea mission going on where you have to, deep ocean mission, where you have to deploy a robot to go deep down and you're looking for probably minerals. How do you do that where divers can't reach there? So you need either submarines or you require robots which can go down. These are one of the examples I can give you where to go where no man has ever gone before, as they say.
Any utilization of AI into this? Because we all understand that it should be applied. So any application of AI you might have seen in your startup?
Yeah, very much so. From very basic application of AI is where we have to, when you go in water, underwater, water is inherently turbid. And if it's a windy day in a dam or a reservoir, you will find the water becomes more turbid. So to remove turbidity, you use some AI techniques by which you can remove the turbidity or do video enhancement. That is one application which is very basic. A more complicated example I'll give you. That is, if you're monitoring the water quality using buoys and where you put your water quality sensors at regular intervals in a river, and after you got a threshold warning that yes, there is suddenly a spike in the amount of contamination of a certain chemical, then you have to find out who is the source of the chemical, which industry is the one which is polluting. So you have a robotic system which can chase this using, and the algorithm that you have to build are all based on artificial intelligence, that you have to chase the source of contamination and then go on to the source.
Any such challenge you also have faced in your hiring, particularly for the startup now?
Yes, when you're working on robotics, there are two distinct sections, I can call them. One is when you design the robot. When you design the robot, you require engineers, graduate engineers, MTech, or who have the knowledge to design. When you have to design a robotic arm, you should know what is the number of degrees of freedom and so forth, and what should be, how the end point or the end effector has to go there. He should know things about inverse kinematics and all. Whereas this is one part of it, that you design the robot. The second part comes in, which is more important, is realizing this robot. I mean, when you get down to the engineering part of it, putting together the robot with your tools and your hands, that is where the experience comes in, and that is where you require maybe diploma or ITI level personnel who can help in converting your design into actual reality. So there are the two distinct places, and I found now, since I've come here in Namtech, I find excellent work going on here where you're training diploma and ITI students with hands-on experience so they become ready for the industry from day one.
Do you agree that the mass productions, the very large quantity of these autonomous systems must be coming? So do you think that some of the education sectors are ready to give us that many engineers, or should we really rely upon the post-degree trainings normally happening?
That's a good point, because what you're going to see in future, one part is developing a robot, make a proof of concept, make a prototype, prove it on the field, do the testing. Once it comes to scaling up, to getting into production, it's a completely different ball game, if I can say that. It's completely different taking a system into production. And as we are slowly transforming from prototypes and getting into production robots or drones for battlefield or for any other application, you need a different skill set. That is, you will need more and more, in my opinion, you'll require more and more diploma and ITI level candidates or personnel who will be on the shop floor seeing that this production is happening. Engineers, yes, of course, I'm not saying they won't be there. They will be there, but they are mostly on the design and even to rectify, to find out any defects and do a root cause analysis and all that, you would require them. As far as academia is concerned, probably you require more personnel from diploma level in.
Normally, in the new MSMEs or the startups, the pay scales are very different. Of course, they are too low. So this is currently the issue because they learn a lot for the robotics sector and they feel they are now ready for the interdisciplinary learning, which was much more. But now the pay scales are not really matching. So this is currently an issue which I have actually observed. But how do you see, like, what is your advice to students who are trying to make this decision?
Students today, I am comparing students in my time with now. Students now like to take up the easy way out. I'm sorry I'm saying that, but it's really true. The academic institute should not or should encourage a student not to use a mobile phone inside the classroom when the teacher is taking trouble of trying to teach you something. Listen to the teacher. We have all listened to our teachers and we have learned from them. They have wealth of knowledge. You might argue that, today's AI engines have got better and more. You go home and you see whether, you enhance that knowledge. But when you are in class, learn, because it's very important that you don't get everything by a click of a button. You will never understand why it works. You will get an answer. You use this, it'll work. And sadly so, it's also happening in coding. In coding also, people don't know how to write a sort algorithm. They say, you want to sort this data set? Okay, I'll sort it for you and get. But he doesn't know behind it, how is the sorting done? So there are many such examples that I faced. And your specific questions while doing all this is chasing money. So my advice to students is that don't chase money. I mean, don't run after money. You must run after the work.
Apart from Daksh, I'm just going back. Apart from Daksh, which other robotic systems and would you like to say anything about which robot we had made for the military?
Probably like to take an example of UAV Netra. UAV
Yes.
Netra is a quadcopter or a drone as we know it today, which in fact we took up development with 4 students from IIT Bombay.
Yeah.
And they came up to me and said that we have made an UAV. I didn't believe, and I said, can you get it from Bombay to Pune? So they
This
came.
is maybe 15 years back.
This is 1998. So how many years would that be? About 18 years probably. So that time there were no drones. So these boys had made a beautiful UAV, and that was the one which was used by the way at that time the movie Three Idiots.
Same robotic system.
Same system was used.
You were talking about the workforce, which are coming from the undergraduates and diploma level people. We need large in number. But then why not the government sectors?
Today there are a number of innovation hubs. There is DST, there are TDF, and many such organizations like DRDO also is funding development of systems, and they are funding either as grant or to an industry. They are taking some equity and giving equity funds.
Now, to teach autonomy, you should have at least 4 to 5 different types of, say, autonomous in aerial as well as. So this is minimal any lab would like to have, but they may not be able to cover it. I'm sure that we do have projects or some grants from MHRD or something, but I was just talking about DRDO. And do you also feel that more such help or such kind of support can be given for skill developing infrastructure?
As far as DRDO is concerned, we are into prototype and getting the system proven. After that, once it comes to production and you want numbers, we give the technology to the industry, and the industry's task give a TOT or transfer of technology to the industry. It may be at some cost, and once you either a cost or it may be with some per system you can give back some money that you can have some royalty or something like that. So this kind of system is followed where we don't take up mass manufacturing.
Actually,
that is done by industry.
Yeah.
And then we move on to the next project which has to get into development. As far as now, since I'm in startup, so I'm exploring the possibility of, as you're asking, how do we scale up? For scaling up, you need machinery, you need space, So I found out that there is a big, even in government, I don't know if you've heard of SIDBI.
Yeah.
SIDBI is funding this kind. If you have a good proposal, and to the startup, they had a system called Srijan, under which you could apply, and they'll fund you for developing, to taking it into production, and that funding includes, CapEx. There'll be capital expenditure for machinery, for infrastructure. So they do fund that way.
Just last, from the education perspective, because you always say that we need to have more hands-on, and sometimes our studies take us, particularly for the faculty, more into papers, as we keep discussing about it. So any one fix, just the last question from my side, and I would like to take your advice, because we are also carving a new school. Any one fix you would like to change in our curriculums, which you think you might not have liked, or any one fix?
As far as graduate level, and I'm in some of these review boards, which reviews the kind of projects being done by startups as well as academia as well as students. So when I review the projects, I find the academia is taking up projects and the level of work is, I'll say, relatively low compared to what I expect them to do. Relatively low means they're not at all aligned to what is the need of the hour.
Need
They
of the
want
industry or practical perspective?
For India, for example, what is required? You require something for Ministry of Fisheries are looking for something. Somebody else is looking for something. They're not looking at the world. They want to do in their robotic lab what everyone is doing drones. I'll also make a drone. Everyone is doing agricultural drone. I'll also make an agricultural drone. That's not the solution. You have to think laterally. You have to think differently. Then only you can innovate. So to innovate, I find the problem, you asked me about the academia. Academia, the biggest problem I find is that more weightage is given to publishing papers. Pardon me saying that, I'm sitting in an academic institute. But publishing papers is the, I mean, maybe it is by design that the professors get marks or points which take them on to the next level, they get a promotion and so forth. So much so, I mean, what I feel, that professors who take up, if they take up projects from this industry, they should be given a higher marking, because it's much more difficult to prove it for an industry and making a product than making a prototype.
So, okay, so with this we can close, and I'm sure for the viewers also, I mean, there is enough takeaway. One, that we always talk about that fundamentals come first. There is no compromise. Even if you are using the new technologies of AI, they are must. As we have seen the importance of autonomous systems presently, and it'll be used almost every day. But even to work on that, even to design on that, it will be important that in your sector, you should have the fundamentals first. Only then you can use them right. And apart from that, those who are into startups, they need not to worry. As Dr. Alok has mentioned, you need to just maneuver through all the challenges and you will be getting the solutions. So we thank Dr. Alok for this wonderful session where we could see not only how you can pursue your passion, but also how you can maneuver through the chaos, through the cumbersome challenges of startup. I'm sure these will be good takeaways for you, and you will be connected to us even after. Thank you.